Why is it so hard for us to be happy? And is chasing happiness even the right goal? Today, I will tell you about the lessons I've learned in the first 42 years of my life, and about one big truth that sits underneath all of them, the one that brings light, focus, and purpose to everything we do. Welcome to the Dula Johanna podcast. The lessons I am going to share with you today didn't just appear to me. I worked my ass off for them. They came through my work as a birth doula, from being a mother and a wife, from hundreds of books, years of therapy and coaching, and a lot of trial and error. Some of them were painful, and many took years to really sink in. And I'm still sure that in 10 years, heck, even in 2 years, I'll look back at some of them and I will see them differently, or even find them a little naive. That is the beauty of lifelong learning. I hope I will keep growing and be wiser at 50 and 60, but this is what I know now, the lessons that I stand by today. These lessons fall into 5 areas: being human with kindness and honesty, love and relationships, work and purpose, body and health, and gratitude and freedom. And at the very end, I'll share the one big truth that connects them all. So let's start with the first category: being human with kindness and honesty. Those are the most important things that I could come up with when I think about being more truthful and compassionate with ourselves and others. The first one in that category is don't speak badly about yourself or others, ever. It will hurt your soul. Try to give yourself the same grace that you would give your children. When I catch myself in negative self-talk, I will stop immediately. It was such a normal part of my life. I would be so strict and so mean to myself, always. And I had the same thing with my partner. I really found it so hard to give him some grace. The second one is the need for validation only stops when you start validating yourself. I used to be such a people pleaser. I really thought like, oh my God, do I have to do to be accepted, to be considered successful, to be considered where I should be in life at a certain age? But then I asked myself the question, if I were on a deserted island, what would still matter to me? And usually it's not the big car. You would go for the car that works for you. You would go for the home that makes you feel safe. The things you think people judge you for are often actually the things that they admire you for. And the truth is that most people do not care about you nearly as much as you think they do. The third one is let go of perfectionism. It's such a joy killer. One carved pumpkin on Halloween is enough. You don't have to go crazy and overextend yourself. One podcast episode every 2 weeks is also enough. I have to tell myself that every month. And the fourth thing is, it's okay to change your mind. It's not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of growth. I don't want to have the same opinions that I had at 20, and I don't want to have the same goals that I had at 30. Inner peace only starts when we accept our humanness and drop the masks. The second category is love, relationships, and connection. And I think the biggest lesson I learned about love and marriage is to choose someone you actually like and who likes life and who is willing to work on your relationship with you. Love is not enough. When you have 3 kids and 2 jobs and a house to take care of, love is not enough. You need to be willing to work together to renegotiate your relationship in different phases of your life. And this is so much easier when you have someone by your side that you actually like, that you actually find funny, and whose smell you actually adore. Another thing I learned is that long relationships are about staying curious about each other. We will not always evolve at the same rate, at the same time, at the same pace. But as long as we're staying curious about the other, as long as we don't buy into the narrative that we know everything about each other, you have such a good chance of enjoying the time that you have together. Another one that is quite hard for me is don't try to change your partner. Change yourself instead, and he or she will follow suit. A very important one is be respectful to your children. Our words become their inner voice, and they do as we do, not as we say. If you care about someone, have the hard conversations with them. Don't let resentment build. I used to do that so much. For the sake of harmony, I would swallow bad feelings I had. It didn't work out. It didn't work out. It had to come out in the end. So be brave, be honest with your partner, and tell them how you feel. However, when a relationship does come to an end and you feel like there's no way that you can keep being with this person, if it's a partner or a friend, it's okay to let go. You don't need to keep every person that was once important in your life forever. That doesn't mean that this relationship has failed. It just means that it came to a natural end. Honor the experiences you had together. Honor what you learned from that person, but let them go. In the end, relationships are where we practice everything we know about love, patience, and honesty. And the same is true for how we approach our work and purpose, which is the next category. The most important thing I learned about work in my life is that you want to find a job that you actually want to do for as long as you can. It does not have to be your main job. It can be a side hustle or a volunteer position. The most important thing in life is to love and to serve. Give yourself the gift of having made a difference in someone else's life. It will automatically transform yours. Another thing that deeply improves the quality of my life is the following lesson. Keep learning. Be a beginner again and again. Get out of your comfort zone. It will make you feel alive. The next one is do not waste your time being jealous of what other people have or have achieved. If you feel envy, get excited and think about what it is exactly that activates you there. What is it that you would like to have in your life? What would be your version and how can you get there? If someone else got there first, it's only proof that it's doable. Another huge lesson is learn how money works. And ideally, learn how money works early in life. This is probably one of my biggest regrets, that I was over 40 when I started educating myself about money, properly educating myself. But it's never too late. You can still educate yourself. You can still set yourself up for success, and you can look out for your future self. And the last one for the money and work category is that you will have your best ideas when you're resting. Schedule calm periods in your day where you can go for a walk, take a bath, or really do nothing. Keep a notebook close by, as this is when your brain will shower you with gifts. Purpose really grows when we keep learning and do work that feels meaningful to us. If you're watching this, I know that you care about living with intention and making the most of the time you have. I want to invite you to a small online gathering on my 42nd birthday, which is December 28th. It's called No Regrets. It will be a 3-hour intention setting party for 2026, where we'll reflect on the year that's ending and plan for the new year in a way that actually feels aligned and meaningful. You can already sign up with the link down below for the early bird price of $9.99. I would love to see you there. The next category, category 4, is body and health. If you are in midlife like I am, I'm sure you can feel it in your bones that a healthy body and mind are the biggest riches that we can ever achieve. My biggest takeaways from the last 40 years are simple but powerful. Today, I can confidently say that being strong is so much more important than being skinny. I care much more about feeling capable, energetic, and steady than about fitting into a certain size. When it comes to food, I learned to think about my nutritional goals instead of calories. I ask myself, how do I get to around 100 grams of protein and 35 grams of fiber today with real food that I actually enjoy? The next one is move your body every day. Find movement that lifts you up and makes you feel alive. Lift the heavy weights, get your heart rate up, go dancing, go swimming. And remember that working on those big muscles in your butt and in your thighs is the best prevention for almost every disease that you can think of. Another big one is consistency will always beat motivation. You need a system, otherwise, it's so hard to get the exercise in. Don't ask yourself if you feel like it. Set a period of time aside and get to it. I think everything is allowed during that time. You can watch a show, you can listen to music, you can think about your business plan. Just pick up this barbell and work. And finally, but maybe most importantly, is be your own biggest advocate. Take up space, ask questions, and find a provider who listens to you and takes you seriously. I know that this is so much easier said than done, but if we don't do it, nobody else will. Women's health is such a complex topic in every phase of our lives, but maybe especially in midlife. It's not easy to find someone who will be really interested in helping us out, figure out the best plan for us in our situation. But it's worth looking for it. Let's move on to the last category, gratitude and freedom. For me, this part is really about learning to trust life itself, about surrender, perspective, and developing a quiet kind of spiritual confidence. It's about trusting something bigger than yourself. Freedom starts when you stop pretending, when you stop trying to be understood by everyone, when you choose to live in truth, not performance. It's really not about getting tougher. It's about getting truer. The second one is touch the ground with your bare feet every day. It's a small reminder that you are alive and that you are connected to everything that is alive. The key to peace is trust. Real freedom comes when the things that used to scare you don't anymore. And not because you are so sure that you can do it, but because you know you will make it to the other side either way. You can allow yourself to fall in love, even if your heart gets broken. You can start your own business, even if it fails. You will learn so much from these experiences, and they will equip you for the next chapter. They will become reminders that you can do hard things with grace, with faith, and with an open heart. And then there's gratitude. It changes everything. It really does. It shifts how you see the world and how you move through it. I love the image from the book The Magic, where you imagine sprinkling magic dust over the people and moments that you're thankful for. I do that in real life. I imagine sprinkling magic dust over my kids before they go to sleep, over every birthing mother I support, and over every person at the end of life that I get to visit. It's my way of silently saying, thank you for letting me witness you. Practice gratitude every day and sprinkle a little magic dust on the world around you. And remember that you can be grateful and still want more. Growth doesn't cancel gratitude. You can be content with what you have now and still have a vision for a life that feels even more fulfilling. Gratitude and trust are what turn ordinary days into miracles. When I look at all of these lessons, they all come back to one thing. We live differently when we remember that life is finite. It sounds dark, but it is the opposite. Remembering that we won't be here forever changes everything. How we treat our bodies, how we love, how we work, and how we spend our days. When we keep death close, we take better care of ourselves. Not to live forever, but to be more alive in the years that we have. We stop postponing hard conversations and we stop waiting for perfect timing because we see how fragile time actually is. We let go of the mask because what's the point of pretending when we only have this one precious life? We focus more on what will matter at the end, the people we loved, the courage we showed, the joy we allowed ourselves to feel. The truth is, most of the regrets people have when they are dying are not about what they did. They are about what they didn't do, the words they never said, the chances they never took, the time they spent worrying instead of living. So if there's one big lesson that ties all the others together, it's this: keep death close if you want to live more fully. I feel incredibly privileged that I get to learn about the end of life every week through my hospice volunteer training and through spending time with people who are nearing the end. It is the most humbling and beautiful education I've ever received. I get to learn every week through words or just by being a witness. What matters, what doesn't, and how precious every ordinary day really is. If this episode spoke to you and you're ready to step into the new year with more clarity and less regret, I'd love to invite you to join me for my live online gathering on my birthday, December 28th. It's called No Regrets, an intention setting party for 2026. We'll spend 3 hours together reflecting, journaling, and setting intentions for the year ahead. Not resolutions, but goals that feel aligned with what truly matters to you. You can find the link underneath this episode. I would be so happy to see you there and start this next chapter together. Thank you for listening. May you be touched by a little magic dust today, and may you sprinkle it on the world around you.